So how can you tell if your accounts are really doing well or not? Find out coming up. Hey there folks, I'm Patrick King with Transformative Financial. Here on this channel we help people make money, keep money, and feel more financially secure along the way. If that's something that you're interested in, please contact me. My email is patrick@transformative-financial.com. My contact information is below in the show notes. I'd love to talk with you and see if it's a good fit. But for today's episode, are your accounts really doing well? All the time I'll talk to folks, and when I tell them what I do, they'll say, "Oh yeah, that's great. My accounts have been doing really well lately." And in the back of my mind, I always think, "Well, are they? How can you tell?" If you're with most investment firms, you may not get a performance report. You might get a monthly statement, but you don't really know how well your accounts really are doing. And then when you know that, how do you know if that's good or not? So today's episode was inspired by a question that I got from someone. You know, recently there's the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average have been in the news lately because, quite frankly, they've been down a little bit. There's been some what's called volatility, which means bouncing up and down of those stock indexes. So people kind of gravitate towards that S&P 500 and think, hey, that's what I need to be comparing my accounts against. Well, is that really a good measure of how your accounts are doing? It's probably not. Now, the S&P 500, really all that is a basket of the 500 largest United States companies that are on a stock market. It's just a basket of really big companies in the United States. So chances are that's not all that you're invested in. And if it is, we need to talk. There's a whole wide range of universe of stocks out there. So there's medium and small companies within the US. There's international developed countries that have stocks out there that you can invest in. There are emerging market countries that have their own stocks and stock markets too. So there's a big wide world of stocks that you could be investing in. So comparing it against the 500 largest US companies may not be quite fair. In addition, you might have things like bonds and real estate and other real assets in your portfolio they're not really an apples to apples comparison with a stock index too. All right, so for my clients, what I try to do is give them an actual benchmark that is like an apples to apples comparison of what their portfolio should be doing. So what I do is I'll do a blend of a couple of benchmarks. One is like a basket of all the stocks in the world, and another is a big aggregate bond index. And I'll kind of blend that compared to how their stocks and bonds mix is blended. And then every quarter they can see how they're doing compared to that appropriate benchmark, not just the S&P 500. So, for them, I expect to be around that benchmark every quarter. I might beat it some quarters, I might, not beat it some quarters. But if I'm beating it by a lot, I'm probably taking too much risk. And if I'm not even coming close, then I'm not doing something right either. So with the tweaks that I make in the portfolio over time, I expect a little bit of outperformance from that benchmark over time. The fact is, most investors don't even come close to the benchmark, period. So if I can get my people in that area where they're not making big mistakes and they're in that top level of investor returns consistently over time, then I'm doing my job. So it's good to have an apples to apples comparison. And the temptation is always there to try to all right, let's really beat the benchmark. But is that a good strategy? I like to compare this whole investing game to like a season on the NASCAR circuit. If you think about the teams, there's not a whole lot of difference between the cars, the drivers, the crews. So what makes one team perform better than another? I think that the real secret is to screw up the least. the way to make a lot of money is to not lose big chunks of it. So back to our comparison to the race, if you think about a team that consistently executes quick and efficient pit stops, they're going to have huge advantages over the teams that screw one up every once in a while. If you think about the drivers that get a little too aggressive on their tires, well, guess what? They're going to have a hard time keeping up with the teams that know how to push those tires the right amount, get the right amount of speed out of them, and make them last for a few more laps. And those little things over time add up to consistent finishes. If you're doing those right things, you're going to have a chance to win the checkered flag at the end of the race. You're going to have top 10s along the way. You're going to get a chance at the cup at the end of the season. All right, I don't know what it's called anymore, but it used to be the cup. Anyways, right? Anyway, not even relevant. Like I said, the best way to make a bunch of money is to not lose big chunks of it. Like I said, most folks don't even get to that benchmark, and they're not even close. So my job, in a lot of ways, is to be the pit chief, and make the decisions around what is our strategy going to be. When are we going to hold to those strategies, and how are we going to execute? And there have been plenty of times in my career where, in one moment, I've paid for a lifetime of my fees by talking a client out of a bad decision. And that would be a bad pit stop. Oh, let's sell here, or let's buy this. So that's the real trick to investing over time, is just screw up as little as possible. So my job is to keep my clients from doing that. And the pro mentality around investing is counter to all of our natural instincts. Fear when the market's down, elation and greed when the market's up. So what I try to do is inoculate my clients against all the headlines, against all the euphoria, against all the panic, because we've got a strategy in place that will work over time, right? If you've got needs now, we're going to have planned for them ahead of time, so you don't have to have all of a sudden take a draw from your account when the market's down, right? That's part of the planning process. So yeah, that's what I've got for today. Make sure, if you think your accounts are doing good, and I hear this all the time, people, they're doing good, but they do it they tell me in a tone that's really uncertain. Figure out what is your real benchmark. It's probably not the S&P 500. And do you even know what your performance is on a quarter-by-quarter basis? A lot of advisors don't tell you because they don't want to, right? And a lot of clients don't know what to ask for. So are you really doing well? That's my question for you. If you want to know, give me a shout. We can talk. If you like this video, click like, click subscribe for more. Patrick King with Transformative Financial. Thank you for watching it, and cheers until next time.